like she said, my name is Whitney. I am a nurse and I work with home care assistants, but I graciously have been accepted into the Parkinson's community here in Omaha and Lincoln. I was a co-facilitator for the support group that was at the Bellevue Med Center location. So Barry, I see you. You looked like you were over at the Yellowstone Ranch there for a little bit. So it's good to see you guys again. And Sherry, thanks you for bringing me and involving me in this. One of my favorite parts about working for home care assistants is their holistic approach to healthcare and just making sure that you don't just focus on medications and the medical side of things, that we take care of our whole bodies. So that's what we're here to talk about today. So I'll share my screen and we'll get started. Okay, see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. All right. Computer's being a little slow. There we go. Okay, so aging in America. Presently, about 45 million adults in the United States are 65 or older, and that's 14% of the population. By 2050, that number is estimated to rise to around 20% of the population, or 80 million people. So we've got those baby boomers that are moving into this population and in a great way bringing awareness to the needs of that 65 and older group. Thought this was just a fun little graphic. I hear 150 is the new 90. So that's pretty funny. I think that age is definitely looked at a little bit differently. What used to be 50 and going over the hill is definitely not that anymore. So it's a great thing. Healthy aging. So the CDC's Healthy Aging Research Network has defined healthy aging as the development and maintenance of optimal physical, mental, spiritual, and social well-being and function in older adults. So notice that the CDC recognizes health as including all of those facets to your life. So your physical, mental, spiritual, and social functions. Consider the following. As we age, we are at an increased risk of chronic conditions such as diabetes, heart failure, cancer, and more. Many of the sickness, disability, and early death from these conditions may be preventable. The incidence of Alzheimer's is on the rise and is the 5th leading cause of death in people 65 and older. And many seniors are not up to date on preventative type of services and screenings. Let's see if this video works.
We end tonight with the words of wisdom from an ageless spirit. She was born nearly 100 years ago in 1918, and she's still world-class yoga instructor, Anne.
Sorry about that, guys. I don't know what's going on with the video. We'll try it again.
Yoga instructor and competitive secrets to a long and meaningful life with her.
Okay.
You might need it to load.
It was doing this a little bit earlier, and I'm kind of worried it's just the video. The videos in the presentation were not acting very well. But this woman, she's in her 90s, and she's still dancing and even competing. So let me see. Sorry, guys. All right, I think
Whitney, is it on YouTube?
What?
Is it on YouTube?
Yes, I'm sure I can find it on YouTube. I can send it out to you guys after.
If you load it off YouTube, it might run faster.
Okay, I don't have it on YouTube right now, so we'll just move on, but I'll see if the next ones work, hopefully.
We end tonight with the words of wisdom from an ageless spirit. She was born nearly 100 years ago in 1918.
It's not working, sorry guys. So holistic health is an approach to life. It includes not only treating or curing specific symptoms, but also supports promoting the overall health and well-being of individuals, families, and communities. Spirituality and religion also have a role to play in this aspect by supporting actions that enhance your physical and your mental health. I think we all know that even if we physically feel like we're doing okay, if our spirit isn't in a good spot, it definitely bleeds into other parts of our health. The principles of holistic health. First, there is more than just the physical body in order to maintain good health. Looking at spiritual aspects of an individual are also important. Sometimes alternative medicine is used. We need to look at how we interact with our environment and understand that our holistic health embodies our mind, body, and spirit. So we're going to go into those. Let's see if this one works. I know that dance movement is a big thing.
As we age, we lose our complex thinking and speaking. Dance movement therapy with elders offers an opportunity to build
I am so sorry, you guys. I don't know why this is happening.
ourselves and together.
Okay, I don't think my videos are going to work, but I think that especially in the Parkinson's community, it's talked about all the time. Movement is a really big thing, and dance is a great way to get your movement in. It's a way to connect with others. It's a way to ease your mind and move your body and stay active. So we're going to go into a couple of these things. So when comparing traditional medicine with holistic health, the primary object of care in traditional medicine is to heal ailments or disease, whereas holistic health wants to promote the overall health. Treatment options for traditional styles are medication or medical treatments. And then holistic health, it varies person to person. Some people look to the body, meditation, spiritual or religious healing, diet changes, lifestyle changes, etc. And they both have their strengths. So we need traditional medicine. That's great at healing life-threatening injuries and ailments, slowing disease progressions and things like that. And then holistic health is good at preventing future health concerns. It involves more than the physical body in treatment and helps patients be active in their healing process. A fun fact, researchers from the University of San Diego School of Medicine have found that an ingredient in dark chocolate actually reduced oxidative stress and neuroinflammation in a mouse model of aging. So if I was with you all, I would definitely hand out some dark chocolate right now. So if you have some, grab it and just know that you're just being healthy. So this is kind of where it's going to lead into the balanced care method, which is unique to home care assistance. And it's our holistic approach to healthy longevity based on the longest living people on earth. And again, we've got another video and I doubt it's going to work. So this is a short video of the Okinawans that live in Japan, and kind of shows their way of life and how it differs from ours here in the United States. Some terms that you would have heard in that video include their physical work in the village. That's our exercise. Physical work in the United States has drastically declined over the last century. And so we do have to kind of decide to exercise rather than it just being incorporated naturally into our daily lives. The Okinawans, they grow their own food. So that's their healthy diet. The processed foods that we eat have, there is research that says that plays a part in declining health. So the more natural foods that you can find from the Okinawans, they've seen great benefits from that. Everyone helps each other. This is a great example of socialization. We are also, especially this year more than ever, extremely isolated from one another, and that greatly impacts your health. They have many ceremonies and rituals, which is also a part of their socialization. Their neighbors talk to each other. I think our world has, kind of lost that a little bit. That sense of community and care for one another. And then another thing that was unique was that elderly are a strong part of the village. So they are respected and revered. which does play very heavily into a sense of purpose and overall health for seniors. The balanced care method that we observe with home care assistants looks at these 5 components. So we make sure that we are focusing on their diet, physical activity, ensuring that they keep as sharp of minds as they can, encouraging social ties, as well as calmness and a sense of purpose. First, we're going to look at the mind, body, and spirit. So the mind. Cognitive therapeutics method is something that we have also that is unique to us. It's a science-based activities program designed to support brain health by slowing the progression of cognitive aging. So you exercise your mind the way you would exercise your body. We can a lot of neurological function by practicing it, by exercising it. And that's a big piece of how isolation and, you know, not having as much socialization can affect you. When you're not stimulating your mind, you're, you know, really impacting your health. The 5 domains within the cognitive therapeutics method that we address are memory, executive functioning, attention, language, and then visual spatial perception. When we do CTM or cognitive therapeutics method in the home, we actually bring out, it's a big bag full of exercises and activities that we do. And so we wanted to list a couple here to maintain your brain health. So practice, recall, and memory. Memorize a list and try to recall it an hour later. I think an hour is, you know, a pretty big piece of time, but you can get to an hour. You can try 5 minutes and then 15. Do math in your head. I am the worst offender for just getting my cell phone out and using my calculator, but try and work some things out in your head and don't rely on technology so much. Learn a new language, redraw a map from memory, take up a new hobby that challenges my fine motor skills. Knitting and sewing are really great things that you can do with that. Learn a new instrument or join a choir, take a cooking class, create word pictures, learn a new sport, and then when eating, try and figure out what ingredients are in your food. That also helps your senses. All right. We would have done an activity, but I'm not with you guys. Let's see if this one works. I'm going to doubt it.
I often will ask somebody who didn't have to go back to college, why did you do it? And at age 94, Amy didn't need a college. Satisfaction, I think it's a sense of achievement. I think it's, okay. I often will ask somebody.
I am so sorry, you guys, about that. Amy's story it's a really cool one. She's a 92-year-old that decided to go back to school. And she did it online. So she used technology to learn more, to ensure that sense of purpose. And it sounds like such a, you know, out there story that, you know, why would a 92-year-old want to go back to school? We're never too old to stop learning and stop wanting to find out more. Now we'll go into the body. So diet and nutrition. According to the National Resource Center on Nutrition, Physical Activity, and Aging, about 1 in 4 seniors suffers from poor nutrition. That's a really, really big number. Eating a well-balanced diet is important as we age. Eating foods high in vitamins, minerals, fiber, and other nutrients is important. Limiting our processed foods or foods high in salt and sugar is also something to pay attention to. You may need to adjust your diet based on a chronic medical or health condition, and may need support around grocery shopping or meal preparation. With exercise, according to Silver Sneakers, the best 9 exercises for older adults are listed there. And one I wanted to talk about that I actually did in nursing school. I went out and I did Tai Chi weekly with a group of seniors at a community center over off of Blondo. And all of these are really good for keeping your balance and your strength, which I'm sure all of you guys know, especially if you're connected with Sherry and Amber and Julie Pavelka, that is just so, so important to maintaining your independence, your health, and your happiness. This was another video that I was going to show you guys on another senior who completed a marathon, and the people around her, her family members, raced with her, and they said that it was just incredible. They expected her to, obviously, like the rest of people, kind of get tired throughout the race, but the more she went, the more excited she was, and the more, I think, you know, she was believing in herself that she could do it. So her energy actually increased towards the end, which was kind of fun to watch.
It was a great experience. Only 13 miles seemed like a piece of...
All right, sorry. We'll move on to spirit now. So socialization. Social support is crucial and can play a large part in our overall health, especially as people age. Consistent socialization reduces the likelihood that seniors will experience depression caused by isolation and loneliness. Tips for increasing socialization and connectedness in seniors. Obviously, you know, these things might not all be doable at this specific time, but joining local senior centers and virtual centers, making sure that everybody has access to transportation is huge. Using technology or the internet to stay connected to family and friends is especially helpful. Engaging with a caregiver, providing extra support during difficult times, and being able to admit when the difficult times are and that you do need somebody is a big one. Innovative resource by the Institute on Aging is the Friendship Line. It's an accredited crisis line for those 60 and older. They make outgoing calls to people who may be isolated and depressed. Elements of spiritual care for seniors include spiritual assessment, support, compassion, storytelling, connectedness, prayer, trusting relationships. So when we look at caring for our clients in their homes, we want to know about all of these things that are going to generate that spiritual health for them. Health benefits of spirituality include resilience during grief or struggle. If you feel like your spirit is not broken and you're strong and positive, going through tough times is much easier. Social support and a strong sense of community. You get the benefit of being relaxed, also reducing your stress and anxiety. It can improve your quality of life, and even with those, for those with dementia. It can also increase socialization and thus potentially decrease depression and loneliness. So find your passion. What is your purpose and your passion? What's the reason that you get up every day? Sometimes as people age, they may need to learn to shift and regroup with some of this, going from being a parent and going to your job every day. Those are the things in that part of life, but what is it for you now? As providers, we look to help our patients and our families look into their own lives for what is their passion and redefine it as necessary, especially where there may be losses and physical or mental limitations. This video was about a gentleman who loved to paint and he lost his eyesight, and many of us would say, well, you know, how are you going to be able to paint if you can't see it anymore? But it just takes a shift in the way that you look at the things that you used to do and you used to enjoy, and your perspective on it can change. He listens to music now, and he lines up his colors and paints based on what he hears. And so that's how he gets enjoyment out of it now. Okay. I think I was supposed to go for about 30 minutes, and I wanted to leave some time for you guys to ask some questions, if you had any. Yeah, Barry.
Whitney, with the COVID being a little harder on the senior people,
Mhm.
is it expected that it will change the slide you had from the first one or insignificant amount? Because we know that COVID is attacking more elderly people than younger people, but will that impact the numbers, or the baby boom is just going to go ahead and take a little hit and go on?
So I think that data is still going to be determined. That's TBD still. The vaccine came out quickly, and we've acted quickly to protect our vulnerable populations and our seniors. So my hope is that number isn't impacted to a significant degree, that we don't see COVID just wipe out that demographic of people. And I really don't think it will. I think that a lot of what we saw were people that were vulnerable to things like the flu and pneumonia and other things that would cause death as well. So I can't definitively answer that, but I'm really hopeful that with the things that we put in place, the vaccine and the measures that seniors have taken to protect themselves, that we won't see a big number change.
Okay.
If anybody does have any questions, you could put them in the chat. Otherwise, I will kind of scroll through the photos or your guys' videos. And if you do have a question and want to be unmuted or ask your question, just let me know. We would love to give you the opportunity to ask and get your questions answered.
Yes. So I also I work in the non-medical home care field, and a big part of what we did throughout this pandemic was keep people safely home. And that was a big honor of ours to be able to do that. I think the shift towards home care was kind of already happening, and it really got thrust forward with people wanting to stay home and wanting to stay safe. So I can answer questions for you guys on that if that's if that's an area that you guys have ever considered or don't know a lot about.
Tell us about home care assistance and when we might call you.
Okay. Home care assistance, we opened up in 2011 in Lincoln and 2012 in Omaha. And our purpose was at that point, and it's still true today, to be the only provider that can lift the glass ceiling off of seniors so that they don't ever age to a point or reach a point in their condition process where they're told that they have to move. So with our services alone, we are bringing assisted living into the home. And when we partner with other places like Sherry and Julie and home health and hospice, we're able to bring nursing home level of care at home. So seniors, and we even have some young people with some conditions that affected them early in life that they now have the option to stay at home regardless of the level of care that they need. We have a neuromuscular disease emphasis. And so we have specific programs that our caregivers are taken through. One of them is for Parkinson's. And so we worked with experts in that field to develop that training. And the best time to call us when you are wanting more information on care or maybe to plan for it is before there's a crisis. When the earliest you can call is the best, because knowing somebody before you're ready to bring them into your home, getting all of the information about all of your options, having the opportunity to talk to us about your goals. If it isn't your goal to stay home forever and it is your goal eventually to move to a community, then that's what we want to set you up for. Our overall goals obviously include our balanced care. We make sure that that's built into every single one of our care plans. So when we sit down with you, we don't just want to know the basics. We want to know, are you religious? Are you spiritual? Who are your friends? What did you used to do for fun? What are your hobbies? So that we can make sure that we can fulfill all of those areas of your life for you, as well as provide the knowledge and expertise to navigate through a condition like Parkinson's, and how that will affect your diet and your mobility, and your sense of purpose and your social connectedness, because Parkinson's does affect all of those areas, and it does, change those things. So to have an expert in that field helping the family and the client navigate those changes is really helpful. So I would say calling as soon as you think that home care might be an option for you. And if you're in Omaha, then you would talk to me. And it's a very open and honest conversation about who you are and what your goals are, and to see if we can help out. I think some of the misconceptions about home care are that you can only have it if you can still walk around, or as soon as you start losing your memory, that you can't stay home anymore. And those are false. We do take care of people until the end of life at home. So we do mechanical lifts, we do feeding tubes, we do a lot of different things at home that people might not expect. So I think I want seniors to know that you guys have options, and that there's not just one way to age and one way to get care for yourself.
That was an awesome question. Thanks for sharing all of that with us. Does anybody else have any other questions about the presentation or about home care assistance, or anything else that Whitney could help us answer? Is aging in place growing quite a bit? Have you seen a trend in that?
Yes. So like I said, I think that aging in place was already growing before the pandemic hit, and then it really thrust that forward when we moved into 2020. Omaha home care assistants, we grew 100% last year. So there was a huge shift towards home care and aging in place. And oftentimes I'll talk to families that are like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that you could do this at home. I thought that once I hit this point, or once this change happened, that I had to move. And that's just not the case. And a big part of my mission is to give control back to people whose lives they don't feel like they're in control of anymore. And these conditions can make you feel like you don't have the same control. So giving those options and making it feel realistic is really incredible to me. Tina Morgan asked if Medicare covers our services. So this is a great question. Unfortunately, because all home care agencies are considered non-medical, Medicare does not cover us. Maybe someday they will, and that would be lovely, because it's such an integral part of overall health. But the payer sources that we have are long-term care insurance. So I don't, some people may have taken those out. We are covered under most of those policies. You just want to make sure and look that there is a clause in there that says it covers non-medical home care. We are also a preferred provider through the VA. So for veterans and their spouses, if you talk to the social worker out there, you do need to be seen by a physician at the VA so that they can evaluate you, and then they'll send over the recommendation for coverage on ours. We're an authorized provider through Medicaid Waiver. So if you are on Medicaid, or you think that you could spend down to plan to be on Medicaid, then they do have a home program for that, and that's called their waiver program. So we do have an adult and a child waiver that we cover under. So we've got people with all sorts of conditions and lifestyles. And then workers' comp is another way to pay for our care. Otherwise, it is private pay. And in Lincoln, there is something called a RUDGE grant that I don't work with, but if any of you guys are from Lincoln or know people in Lincoln, there is a grant that's available there. Dan Lombardo, are you talking? If you're talking to us, you're muted.
Okay,
There you go.
now I forgot what I was asking.
Oh, shoot.
Do you normally spend like 2 or 3 days a week there, or how do you do that?
With the caregivers going out to the homes.
Yeah,
So it's completely different at everybody's houses, because some people will bring us in really early on when they don't need a lot of help. So we'll go out 2 hours once a month, if that's all that you want. And then some people we live with. So we have shifts that are called live-in shifts, and they have somebody with them around the clock. So 2 to 24 hours a day, and that's completely up to our clients and what they want.
so medical insurance doesn't cover that?
No, unfortunately, Medicare and just a regular medical insurance wouldn't, unless it's a long-term care policy.
Okay.
We had another question. Is it more cost effective to remain in the home rather than going to a nursing home?
So that will depend on the amount of care you need at home and the nursing home that you're looking at. Very often we are less expensive than a nursing home. I will never talk with a family and overestimate the amount of care that you need or over recommend. I don't think that people need to pay for more care than they need. So what we do is I really assess the person, the condition, the home, the support that they have, and their goals. And then we put a schedule in place that works for them. So for a lot of people, it works just to have somebody come out for a couple hours in the morning, get up, get a shower done, get ready for the day, get medications and a meal. And then maybe do some light housekeeping and get lunch made before you go, and then come back again at night to help get ready for bed. When you do it like that, a lot of people sleep in the afternoons. There's a lot of days I wish I could. So in those kind of situations, if you don't need home care at that time, then you can just send somebody home and then they can come back at the time that you need them. So it can be much more cost effective to do it that way. And then obviously the other benefit is you're in your home. You control who comes in and out. You pick out the groceries and the meal plan. It's your bed, and a lot of people do tend to do better at home. I do have, you guys, I have a cost comparison guide, which I can show you if you want me to. We obviously, cost is one of the big questions that we get. So we put this together. It's opening. So we put this together to compare the different types of living models that you could have. And I can send this out to you guys too. It kind of compares what our, 2 to 12 hours a week of home care on an average is $600 a month compared to independent living. Then we compare our care management style to an assisted living. We kind of go through the amount of hours, what's included, and then the cost. I have averages for Omaha and Lincoln as well. And I added in memory care here so you guys could see that. Talks about ratios as well. That's something to ask and consider when you are looking at a community is, at home it's obviously one-on-one, but you want to see what the ratios are in another living setting. And then managed care is more of that live-in model that I was talking about. And then this is what that cost. We did it yearly and monthly, and that we compared to nursing home care. And right down here, you can see those payer sources. Anybody have questions on that page?
Are you can just send the information to Amber?
Yeah.
Amber send it to us?
I can definitely do that. I can do that.
That's a great breakdown.
Yes, it's really helpful because there's a lot to compare and a lot to consider.
Yeah, I can definitely provide that information. And I will also, we're recording this presentation right now. So this will be available on our website. If you do have Facebook, it also will be as a live stream on our Facebook page. So if you did want to review anything, the recording will be available.
Thank you, Amber.
I think it's really good to think about, as we're talking about, self-care, like sometimes the best self-care is getting a little extra help and care for yourself or care for your person with Parkinson's if you're the caregiver or vice versa, in order to have a healthier mental and physical state for both of you. So sometimes it's time. So I think sometimes we think we absolutely will not get any help in the house until we absolutely need to. We don't want to have to get help until the end point. And I think sometimes we actually would have a much better course if we looked a little bit ahead and said, okay, what couple things would really have a big impact if I had a little help with those? What would have the biggest, what impact would that have on how I feel, how I can exercise, how I can live my life if I have a little help with a few things? So sometimes I think we, as both care partners and persons with Parkinson's, we try to put off getting help as long as possible, thinking that that's the best way to do it. And I think sometimes it's counterproductive because we get more burnt out, more fatigued, can't focus on the things that would really help us stay healthier. So just 2 cents from, as I've seen people when they're trying to come through the decision of when they might need help at home, if that makes sense.
No, I think that that's a great point, Sherry. It's especially hard for, the person going through the disease process. And in a lot of cases, equally as hard for the person that's there supporting them through it. Caregiver burnout is a real thing, and it's really hard to give that up. And guilt is a big factor there. But we can't be good for anybody unless we take care of ourselves. And that is a big thing that people have to kind of grapple with and overcome in order to accept care. I'm a very independent person. I know that I will be one of the worst offenders when it's time for me to ask for help. But it's important to know that you don't have to do things alone. And that caring for yourself is just as important as caring for the people that you love.
Absolutely.
And I love that the Parkinson's community in Omaha is so connected and so active. You guys, I talk about it all the time with everybody that I can, just how lucky the Nebraska community is, and Omaha especially, that you guys are so engaged with each other. And this year I haven't been able to see my regular support group, but I know that Sherry and Amber and Julie has her own that she holds, and it's so great that you guys stay coming, because it's been a trying year. So
Absolutely.
good to see all your faces. Does anybody have anything that they've uncovered about a hobby that has worked for you, staying isolated now this year? Is there any self-care tips that you guys have for each other? You're walking in similar shoes. I feel like your examples would probably be better.
I want to object to the put them in the back of the pickup and run them through the car wash.
Very.
What you're outing, Barry? Have you guys been doing virtual church? Any virtual services? Yeah. Yep. That's good. That's so good. My grandma does them every morning, and that's a kind of underlooked piece, that people getting together and worshiping and filling that cup is big. So I'm so glad that technology allows us to still be able to do those.
Anybody have any other questions for Whitney? No, or other tips? I know you all have, I know personally that many of you have been doing many good things for self-care. So no one is fessing up to their good things that they've been up to, taking care of themselves. Last chance to brag on yourself a little bit about how good you're taking care of yourself, because I know many of you are.
Well, and I would love it because I've got a lot of clients that we take care of that would love some extra tips.
I just want to say that there was a couple articles in the Weird Herald, that newspaper we read. Aging in place seemed to be a big dominant factor that they were doing. But a lot of times they go ahead and come up with a house that is Parkinson's friendly, like with zero barriers and stuff like that. It's not easy to find unless you have it built, with the shower curves below, the handbars and the handrails in and stuff like that. When it doesn't take a lot during the building phase, but to retrofit it does. But I mean, we need those things, just for balance and things like that. It seems like somebody would design a house that would be mass appeal to any of the handicapped or senior citizens, and we would age in place better.
Yes, home environments are one of the biggest barriers to being able to stay at home because you have to be able to stay safely at home. And the way that homes used to be built are not very conducive to big wheelchairs. Going through those small doorways and all the split levels that were built at a period of time. So one of the things that we do that is included in just meeting with me is that I come out and do a home safety evaluation on your living space and make sure that we are modifying anything that we can to make it safer for you guys and for anybody to stay at home. Sometimes that means putting a stair lift in or taking a door off the hinge. Many times it's adding a handheld shower head. It's not as invasive as you always think it is. We've been able to keep a lot of people home in homes that you would look at and say, no way would that work. It just takes modifications and being open to it, and most of the time we can make it work.
To give you an example, Whitney, when I go to the basement, I have a death grip on the handrail. Well, the first thing I did was I backed out one of the screws and found out the screw was like 1.25 inches long. By the time you subtract off the 1/2 inch drywall, that's not very far into the stud. So I replaced them with 3.5 inch coarse drywall screws. So right now, if a tornado goes through and my handrail is still there, it's the screws that held it up.
Well, Barry, I know that you take your modifications at your house seriously. So that's good.
Yeah, and that was very inexpensive, If you have handrails that are wobbly or whatever, get some longer screws and get somebody to help you, and you can put them in. That'll right there up your uptime. No pun intended.
That what Barry said is that's why a person like Joyce and Rich would need somebody to come in and check it out, because we wouldn't have thought about checking the length of a screw in a handrail. So, just saying, we all don't have that expertise that Barry has. My handrail, we'd be down at the bottom, the handrails, and us too.
Well, Barry, you got yourself a job.
Oh boy, another job.
Barry, you might be hearing from Mike.
if we couldn't share, guys, it wouldn't be fun.
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah,
we're all one
I-
big family.
I have a list that I've always given Mike, and he's quite good. He built the deck and put in a hot tub for us, and that at 65, and we have been enjoying it every year. And but yes, I did not know when I married Mike that he came from a family of engineers and that he worked a lot of construction jobs and that. So yeah, he can if I tell him to check the railings, I'm going to tell him that you told me to. That's why I said you may hear from him.
Everyone needs a good handyman. You're lucky.
That's right.
So you guys are still using that hot tub, Joan?
No, we finally took it out this year. The family was coming over and using it, and it got to a point where the kids grew up and left and had other things to do. And I'm a diabetic. Hot tub isn't for me. So, and Mike was getting a little bit, with the Parkinson's, that he just said, I don't think I want to use it anymore, and you're not using it and they're not using it. How about us just buying some more furniture out here and something that we can turn the lights on, and so we did that, and
Modify and go.
we've been enjoying that, swivel chairs and that. So yes, we are in our middle 80s, and we want to stay in our home. We took long care life insurance policies when we were in our middle 60s, for the sole purpose of staying in our home.
Mhm.
And it's getting to a point that there are things that we are now discussing that maybe we might need some assistance. I thought if it was possible, a few hours of discussing something or helping out. I have a back problem, so I'm in pain management.
Okay.
And and my knees are getting arthritis in them. So Mike is has just been diagnosed for 2 years. Probably was there 4 years prior, but a neurologist never claimed it.
Mhm.
And I got upset, finally said into the 5th year, if you can't diagnose this as Parkinson's, because my father had it and I recognized it. But I just couldn't convince my husband. So he's doing well. We're both getting around. But my grandson was coming in and helping us with housework.
Okay.
And then he got COVID, and he had just been over mowing the lawn the day before. And he was so upset about it.
That's hard.
that we went ahead and got tested for him the very next day, and we were both okay. But I can't get him to come back.
Well,
and we're getting our second shot tomorrow. So, things may be a little bit different after that, but I do need assistance with in the house. And if he's not going to come back and my granddaughter doesn't want to do it either, then we'll go ahead and get an assistance of I've got several people I can call in.
yeah.
But the long term, what's going to happen, we were thinking of maybe sooner or later here putting in a
Chair lift.
chairlift because we've got it going down 8 steps and going down another 8 steps into the basement to get into the garage, other than going out the front door and taking another steps on concrete. That's the reason we go through the downstairs.
Yep.
So we are thinking that if it gets to a point, primarily because of me, I take it slow going down.
Do we have a question, I think, up there? I can't, can you unmute yourself? I don't know if Amber's by there. Sherry, can you unmute anybody?
I can't.
I can ask them to unmute. Do you know who it was? I'm sorry.
Char?
He's working on it, I think.
It's the first time that I've unmuted this. Sherry knows that I don't do the computer, so Mike left and said, if you want to unmute it, you do this, and I left him the instructions to.
You know what I miss the most, Whitney?
What?
A ladder. They won't let me climb ladders anymore.
Oh no, no
I
ladders.
love ladders.
Okay.
I found Mike on a ladder putting up a wreath on the outside door, and instead of putting it further down, like I just had a screw with a hook on it to put it on, he went and got the ladder and went and put it clear up. It's a good thing I didn't see him do it. It was done before I could yell at him.
I don't know if I'm not sure if they can put something in the chat. If you do have a question but can't get unmuted, you could always hit the chat box and type in your question too, if that's.
Spacebar may work too.
Yeah. Spacebar, it unmutes you.
Or Alt A on a PC.
He didn't have a question.
There you go.
He didn't have a question. He just lifted his arm up, I think.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry.
Make sure.
Well, anyway, Whitney, I'll give you a call when I'm ready for you.
There you
Well,
go.
that's the other thing is there's more than just personal care that you need, or that we can help with. It's also transportation and meal preparation and light housekeeping and grocery shopping. So
That's a good
things. Yeah.
We can work around it. I just didn't know the scope of your business, but it's going to be very useful. So we'll get in touch with you.
Good. Okay.
Well, thank you, Whitney. I don't know if Amber, I think you're still there, but thank you guys. Whitney, I think this was very helpful. I don't know.
Good job, Whitney.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us today.
Yes, and Amber, I know said it'll be on Facebook, so if you need Whitney's information, that would be on that presentation, or you can always reach out to me or Amber and we can connect you as well. All right. Thanks so much, Whitney.
Great seeing you guys. Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Thanks,
Have a
Whitney.
great day.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.